It seems that all the cold weather has ended for the winter of 24-25, and so let's take another quick look at the cold resistance, the cold hardiness of the broadleaf evergreens, starting with the Portuguese laurel, Prunus lusitanica. Mostly emerged unscathed from the cold, although the tips and a few of the leaves show some browning and yellowing, but overall the tree looks pretty good. At first glance you would think that this entire Dahoon holly had been killed by the cold, but let's take a closer look. Here's that Dahoon holly, ilex, cassine, and the leaves, although they look a little green, are all completely dead. Check this out. Crunchy dead. Except for the very bottom of the tree, which is still alive for some reason. Notice the nice pliable leaves. So I'll probably cut off the trunk somewhere in the middle there and see if it can keep going. I'm guessing it was the extreme cold that pretty much killed the entire top of the tree. Elysium parviflorum, no problem. Pyracantha coccinea, no problem. Prague viburnum, no problem. Centennial girl holly, no problem. Castle wall holly, no problem. This little gem magnolia made it through the couple of very cold spells we had without any browning at all, it seems. The D.D. Blanchard magnolia also looks pretty good, although maybe one or two of the lower leaves could be affected by phylosticta blight and not cold, is my guess. America heterophylla, the uppermost leaves are scorched, but the lower ones still look fairly good, and as I mentioned in a previous video, the America heterophylla is obviously more cold tolerant than America cerifera. Minor leaf death at the tips on the Nellie Stevens holly, but most of the tree looks pretty good. Agarista populifolia, completely unscathed. A medium level of bronzing on the Bigfoot Clayera, Turnstoemia gymnanthera is the Latin name, but overall fairly good. And next to that, the shade-protected daphniphyllum macropodum, looking very good. Trocodendron aurelioides, overall, looks pretty good. Maybe a little browning on the leaves in a few spots, but basically did very well. Prunus laurocerasus may have had some branch dieback at the very tip here, but the lower leaves seem just fine. The slightest bit of bronzing on the cartrema americana, but once again, mostly did good. And there doesn't appear to be any evidence of cold damage on the elaeagnus pungens. Elysium henryi, looking good. Skimmia japonica, also looking good. Pieris japonica, no problem. Elysium floridanum, also no problem. Maybe some slight browning on just a few of the sweet bay magnolia leaves, that is species Magnolia virginiana, but overall the tree looks very good. Leucothui axillaris looks very good. Just a little bit of damage on a few of the tips of the Osmanthus heterophylla, but overall most of the foliage made it through just fine. And I have several Dahoon hollies. Ilex cassine. The one I showed you earlier was the only one with any real major damage. There were a few scorched leaves here and there on the others, but overall the Dahoon holly did very well. Blue Prince holly, looking good. And it seems I finally made it through a winter without losing the foliage on the Liberty holly. So that's good news. Edith Bogue magnolia. No foliage damage here due to winter cold, although the phylosticta leaf blight continues to be a minor problem. Ilex vomitoria, Yupon holly, no problem. Manhattan euonymus, looking good. Ilex opaca, also good. Ilex coriacea, still good. Savannah holly, which is a hybrid, did very well. China boy holly, also a hybrid, did very well. America cerifera was scorched again for the third year in a row, so it is really pushing the upper limits of what it can tolerate in terms of being an evergreen tree in Middle Tennessee. But it does usually tend to leaf back out pretty quickly in the spring, so I'm expecting that to happen again this year. Ilex cornuta, no problem. Ilex glabra, no problem. Christmas jewel holly, looking good. as is the Foster's holly right next to it. Both of those are hybrids. Made it through the winter. Oakland holly, another hybrid. That dead stump at the top there is because I pruned it, not because of winter damage. The foliage doesn't seem to have suffered any winter damage. And next to that, same story for the Dragon Lady holly. Yet another hybrid, and these were pruning points here at the top, so the foliage was not damaged by the 2 cold spells. Screenplay holly also did pretty good this winter. A little bit of bronzing maybe at some of the tips, but pretty good overall. Cyrilla racemiflora lost most of its leaves, but the ones that it retained look decent, maybe. It's in a protected spot here, but most of the leaves are gone. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll leaf back out. Persea borbonia, looking pretty good. Lonicera nitida, also good. This is the Liane cultivar of Turnstroemia gymnanthera, and although it turned pretty red, I think that's normal. So it mostly made it through without any real damage this winter. Prunus caroliniana, also doing good, although I have a little bit of leaf blight, it seems. I'm guessing that will not be a problem for the long-term health of the tree. Ilex pedunculosa is also looking good. And ilex chinensis did just fine. Berberis replicata also made it through the winter without any problems. And Lyonia lucida also looks pretty good. And finally we have Camilia japonica, which is actually in bloom now the first week of March. And there was maybe some minor leaf scorch in a few spots, but overall the foliage of Camilia japonica made it through the cold pretty good. It's been a few days since I recorded the first part of my broadleaf evergreen winter update, and I wanted to go back and revisit one of the trees I looked at, and that is Portuguese laurel, Prunus lusitanica. And since that time, what I thought was just a little bit of leaf damage on some of the uppermost leaves has evolved into something else. It's become a lot hotter and drier here, and it's now become obvious to me that pretty much all of the leaves on the upper part of the tree are dead and dying or completely dried out, all the way down to I guess about somewhere here in the middle, and I think that middle trunk you see there is dead. So, but obviously the leaves on the side are doing just fine here. So I'm going to trim that out, and just wanted to give you that quick update to let you know there was in fact a major dieback on the Portuguese laurel. So I guess it did hit its limits when it got down to single digits Fahrenheit, and that's in the negative teens Celsius.